Okay.
Welcome.
You know I'm going to love today because we're talking about food. The healthiest fast food burger you can eat.
Burgers.
The healthiest fast food burgers for you and your family.
And why the people that tell you that might not be telling you the truth. Here we go.
Welcome to the FitFam podcast. This is Doug, the formulator.
And Miss Natural Olympia Hillary.
Thanks.
Glad to be here.
It's great to be here.
Yeah, it's a great day.
It's a great day. It's
a great day. A lot happening in the world.
It's Monday the 20th.
And a lot of changes happening today. Martin Luther King Day. One of my favorite.
We're Inauguration Day.
Big changes in the White House. A lot on our world of nutrition and health.
That's right.
That's going to be happening. Super excited.
So we thought, well, why not? Let's just go ahead and talk about the healthiest fast food burger. Okay, this is the funniest thing. So driving the other day, I found this article. It was, I think it was published by Delish. It's like a group of food enthusiasts that put out recipes and all the healthy things. And so I was like, Doug, guess what the healthiest fast food or burger is. What'd you guess? Whataburger.
Oh yeah, because I remember growing up, going through college and stuff. That's the only place you could get a whole wheat bun, and so that's funny.
Yeah, that is funny. Whataburger, I think, did make the list.
Did it?
By the way. But so one of the coolest parts about this article was Doug looking at me and being like, "Well, what are the parameters for health? Why are they saying that's the healthiest?" And I'll tell you, the bodybuilding mindset of me didn't hate the parameters. So they based their rankings off of saturated fat, basically, and sodium intake and
total
caloric.
And that is a bodybuilding world. And what's interesting about that is that in the beginning days of bodybuilding, when they called it golden age, that's all you had to worry about. Right, because everything was pure.
Great.
You know what I mean? All the meat was grass-fed, right? The breads didn't have all the artificial ingredients and chemicals in them. And that has continued over the decades, when in reality, there should have been a shift. And a few people, have done that. Mm-hmm. But for the most part, it's just count your macros, right? If it fits my macros, all that. And that's still the bodybuilding mentality, but it's causing a lot of issues. And it's causing a lot of issues, especially with the natural athletes, because they're not looking into the chemicals and the phthalates and the plastics that's affecting their testosterone and estrogen, which means affects their results of how lean you can get, how much muscle you can build. But one interesting point when I was asking you about the parameters, you'd also mentioned in there, it talked about, well, this is a list from a group of registered dietitians and people like that. Well, already the red flag went up. But let's talk about those 10 real quick. And then we'll talk about...
I'm just going to go over the top 7, okay?
Top 7.
Yeah. So also they prefaced this article with maybe not the healthiest, but maybe least non-healthy. That's how they described a burger.
Okay.
And I think it's because, like, in their view, a burger maybe isn't the healthiest option in general as a meal. But so this gets pretty interesting. And for the record, I will give props to my son Marley, because I said, guess which one they said. And he got number 1, which I thought was pretty amazing, but also made me think, wow, he probably eats burgers a lot more than I realize, So something that they said is that a burger offers protein and then some nutrients depending on the amount of maybe veggies that you add to it, right? And then the content of the bun, right? Or the ingredients. And then also this is the part, okay? This is where we all get caught up a little bit. Okay. It is choosing a burger with more veggie options and skipping all of the high fat options that get into some of these fancy burgers, right? So when you skip things like bacon, mayo, cheese, like caramelized onions, because it's done like with oil, that's how you skip out on some of those saturated fats and unhealthy options. So, and then also probably a patty that's not quite as large. So let's jump into it. Okay. Number 7 is
starting at the bottom.
We're starting 7 healthiest, and we'll go to number 1.
Okay.
So number 1 is Shake Shack hamburger.
Okay.
Relatively low in calories, 370, 24 carb. Okay. My bodybuilding brain is like, okay, yeah, I'm on board with this. And then 8 grams of saturated fat, but they say a whopping 850 milligrams of sodium.
I'm not really worried about sodium.
Yeah, you're not really, but you're worried about sodium for somebody that has like some chronic illnesses, correct?
Right. But you've had to develop that. I mean, it's probably one of the things that's really talked about wrongly is sodium intake. The best thing with sodium, and then we'll go through them, is that if you eat salt and you retain water, stay away from salt. Right? You're either not handling it correctly or you're getting too much. But if you don't, then don't worry about salt. But I know they listed sodium as a factor there.
Yeah, it's one of their contributing health factors. Okay. And
Shake
then
Shack.
it has the most amount of protein out of all of them that they did at 25 grams of protein.
That's really good.
So it's their signature
Shack.
Shack burger.
Perfect.
That's the name of it. Okay. Number 6, which you actually like this place when you're having a treat meal.
Yeah, one of my favorite treat desserts.
So Culvers Whataburger. Okay. It has 7 grams of saturated fat, 480 milligrams of sodium, and it offers 20 grams of protein.
Okay.
You have to order it with a single and then without other toppings. Okay.
Got it.
So that's number 765 is your Whataburger. So you did make the list with the one that you thought. 750 milligrams of sodium. So they don't love that, but 310 calories and then 36 grams of carbs. And also it just had 3 grams of saturated fat, which was like a big thing.
I want to point out here that you're talking about what we would used to call a normal size burger, which now they say is small. But all these are the Whataburger Juniors, right?
Yes.
And what was the one for Wendy's?
Well,
oh, you already said Marty Joseph.
No, I didn't say the name of it.
George's.
Sky ruins everything.
Okay.
No surprises with you. Okay, anyways. So 14 grams of protein with that one, okay? Whataburger. Then we get to In-N-Out, which I'm going to be honest, I thought In-N-Out was going to be number 1. And I think other people would have agreed with me. 37 grams of carbs, 4.5 grams of saturated fat, 660 milligrams of sodium. So for them, that's really, really high. And then it has 390 milligrams of sodium. Did I already say that?
Yeah. And what's your calories?
Total calories is 360.
360. Yep.
So
it's a good burger. And I think that's probably one of the most popular ones with fitness-minded people, for sure.
So it's a classic hamburger and it has 16 grams of protein. Okay.
So
then we go down to, and this one I was like, this did not make the list. How is this even possible? McDonald's, right? I know. It's like, what? McDonald's? Okay. But the reason it's saying healthiest is because
it has to be the classic.
But here's the thing, its protein content is lower. So it only has 13 grams of protein, but it has only 250 calories, 30 carbs, 3.5 grams of saturated fat, and then 510 milligrams of sodium. Okay.
And which one is it?
It is the classic McDonald's burger.
Okay.
Okay. Number 2 is the Burger King's Whopper Jr. Okay.
I used to get the little hats from there.
So it's the same. I think it's the same. It's just a little bit smaller of a burger than their Whopper, right? So this comes with slightly more protein at 15.2 than the Mickey D's one. 310 total calories, 27 carbs, 5 grams of saturated fat. And then they really loved this one because it had the lowest sodium content of 390 milligrams of sodium. So that's the Whopper Jr.
What was number 1? Surprise,
Number
surprise.
1, surprise. Doug ruined it. Wendy's. Okay, it's the Wendy's Junior Hamburger. And Marley guessed it, and he's like, yeah, fresh beef, never frozen. I'm like, okay. But this one came in at a caloric intake of 280. Okay, so we're under 300 calories there. 4 grams of saturated fat, 440 sodium. And then it had a decent amount of protein at 15 grams of protein and 25 grams of carbs.
It's really good. It's really good. So based on the parameters, but you're like, I listened to it when you first mentioned it, and I'm thinking, good heavens, who's making these decisions? And then, you list the registered dietitians and all this. And I'm like, okay, now we know.
Yeah, it was a list of registered dietitians, nutritionists, and then like food enthusiasts.
Yeah. So here's the thing is, honestly, from just a macro standpoint, that's a great list. But from a health standpoint, there's some other factors that need to be come into play. And you're like, well, why didn't the registered dietitians in that, why didn't they, play the game and whole wheat or whole grain buns and all those things? And a lot of it comes down to these special interest groups. And there's different names for them. The one that I love is Astroturf groups. And
I just think of I was just thinking about football field.
yeah, but that's it. Astroturf, it's fake grass,
Mm-hmm.
right? Grassroots. So it's a fake grassroots movement. And that's how come they like the Astroturf, because most of these.
Wait, this isn't their real name.
No, they're just, it is,
It's just
all of them are called Astroturf
okay.
organizations.
Who came up with that term?
I don't know. It's like the way to explain these grassroots. Oh, I'm nonprofit.
Like,
we're here just to help the people.
We're helping you, but really they're funded by someone else.
That's it.
Okay.
Okay. So Astroturf organizations,
okay.
right?
All right, I like it.
So let's name a few of them, then I'll explain why, and then we'll get into the parameters that I put in there.
Okay.
Okay.
Let's see.
So like Citizens for Health. Citizens for Health is established in 1992. They're supposed to help with nutrition. Like, oh, the Citizens for Health group tells you the truth about nutrition and what you should eat and all these things. And then come to find out that they're funded mainly by the Sugar Association, over 50% of their profits. So they go in and say, oh, sodas are okay. High fructose syrup is just a joke. It's really not that bad for you. And aspartame and sucralose is really not that bad for you. And it must be true because it's this group independent of the soda companies and the candy companies, right? They're this citizen organization, Citizens for Health. But it's been proven they're an AstroTurf organization. One of mine that I really have had issues with over the years because people came against me with this one's the Nutritional Health Alliance. And because they were formed about the same time I was really getting involved, in the industry with the NBA in that 1992.
Okay.
And their whole thing is against dietary supplements, saying, hey, we're here to help the consumers know the truth about dietary supplements. And it's the opposite. They're owned and funded by the pharmaceutical companies to promote and say, hey, synthetic supplements are just as fine as whole food. And we're this independent organization telling you that. Then the one for our conversation today, the American Council on Science and Health. And they come out and try to tell you that, hey, white flour is not that bad. Fries is a vegetable. French fries is a vegetable. Bean count is a vegetable. All this crazy stuff.
I don't hate that idea.
They're funded by the big food groups, and there's many more. But AstroTurf organizations are a big problem. And they also fund the American Dietetic Association, along with Sarah Lee Mars and that we reported way back in 1993. So you have to be careful somewhat. Like that's really good information for like, hey, the caloric content and that.
Yeah, I think what I liked most about this is I don't know if you're going to agree with me, but number one, it was talking about protein. I think protein is really important in the diet, especially if you are a meat eater and somebody that is trying to put on some muscle. So we do consider protein and satiety. How do you say that?
Satiation.
Yeah, like staying full. So I feel like protein is important, and they put an emphasis on protein. The other thing that I really liked here is that they talked about the importance of getting rid of the fluff, because the fluff is what gives us fluff, right? So the mayos, the cheeses, and I'm not saying that it doesn't give it flavor. I'm saying you have to kind of rework the mind when we're talking about, our health and total caloric intake.
I think it's a great step one for sure. It's like getting people away from all the fluff, all the junk. Much healthier choice, any of those you mentioned.
And stack those veggies on there. Give it some flavor with your, lettuce, tomato, onion, pickles. Like load it up with the stuff that is going to give you some actual nutrition.
And then when you're ready to go to the next level, then you can kind of already see where we're going with it, right? Instead of white flour, you need multigrain or whole wheat buns. The meat, the largest study that I've seen done with meat came out and conclusively shown that if you use a grass-fed, no antibiotics, antibiotic-free meat, that it is much healthier than the meat that we buy normally in the store, and that has the antibiotics and all those issues with it. And so much that there's a huge difference with disease and your risk of disease. So we know it's worthwhile to look for the organic, grass-fed, antibiotic-free meats. It just, the research is super strong on it, a great study done on it. So if we want to go to that next level, which I think that is a great start, then you want to go to make sure that the meat's as healthy as it can so that it doesn't cause a lot of the problems, especially with man, colon cancer, those types of things. And the buns are healthier that you're not using one of the most detrimental foods on the planet, which is white flour.
Okay, yeah, and I'm agreeing with the things that you're saying. I also think that sometimes nutrient density raises up that caloric intake a bit sometimes, right? A white flour bun that you put a burger on versus a whole wheat nutrient dense
Mhm.
is going to have more calories.
It does. And I'd rather have the more calories than the elevation in blood sugar, because white flour raises your blood sugar faster than sugar.
I love your brain.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
So if you took a teaspoon of sugar and a piece of white bread, the white bread's going to raise your blood sugar faster, which means you're going to dump more insulin, you're going to store more fat. So you're actually storing more fat at lower calories. And that's the part I think that's so hard to get in out of the brain of people that just count my macros. The studies show processed food at the same caloric content as whole grain food or whole foods, I'm sorry, that you gain more fat. And so you can actually allow yourself a few more calories from the whole foods, the whole grains in that, and be able to keep the weight off because you're not spiking insulin.
Okay.
So let's just look at a couple of them.
Your parameters were?
My parameters were to have it be grass-fed, antibiotic-free, non-GMO.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
And so.
And did you factor in calories, caloric intake?
So it just told us the caloric intake. I didn't say do it from the smallest to the highest. That's what's in there. Okay. And so I'll tell you, I didn't know some of these places because we put in the same thing, fast food, but with all these parameters. I'll name the ones that for sure, like I know about, and then I'll just quickly name the other ones. The one that rated the highest of the places I know of is actually back to the Hamburger, but you order the charburger with lettuce and tomato on the multi-grain buns. You actually order, you have to ask for that. And it's antibiotic-free beef, and then you do the toppings with the multi-grain bun.
And then no cheese, no mayo.
Exactly.
Right.
And so I think that that's really the key, that you're going to go with that. 24 grams of protein is a little bit higher, but this, I'm not sure if they might have the mayo and stuff on that, but I'll have to check my little
It may not, because it may be. I remember Habit burgers being a little bit more like have some, yeah. So it probably it probably isn't the mayo on it. Yeah.
And then the next one that I knew, which was interesting.
And, sorry, these were based on saturated fat, not total fat, and I think yours is total
fat.
So yeah.
And then the next one that I didn't realize was Chipotle, showing that they now have a burger El Pastor, which is a whole wheat bun.
I feel like I need to look this up.
And so that's really cool. And then the rest of them I'm not familiar with. So if you're watching this from different places around the country, let us know this. A place called Elevation Burger,
which
looked a grass-fed burger,
so good.
A multi-grain, 18 grams of protein in it. Another place called Bear Burger, which is one I want to find. Where you guys know where Bear Burgers are? Let us know on that.
I think the Bear Burger is the one that also had an elk option. It had bison.
Sweet. Ammies Drive-Thru, which I know is a California place. Farmer Boys, Be Good, Hop Dottie Burger, not to be mistaken with the P. Diddy Burger. That's terrible, huh?
Okay. Yeah.
And so,
can we edit that?
Yeah, we can edit that. And but it kind of goes back to the same thing when we're looking at this, with the exception of like Chipotle and what was the other one, Hamburger. You know, a lot of these, their chain isn't giant, right? Like we didn't know of a lot of them, but that seems to happen a lot. That the bigger they get, the more they start cutting corners. Like even Chick-fil-A did with some of their chicken and things like that. And so I got that it gets tougher. And a lot of times when you get bigger, you have to become a public company. And the people that buy into that company aren't necessarily as committed to the product. They're committed to the profit.
That's us.
And it makes it tough, right? And so you see what happens. And that's why we're really big with almost anything. When you're buying food in that, usually if you buy it from the smaller companies, you're going to get a better quality product just because it's the nature of the beast. But I love today the three things, right? One is, here's the healthier choices, and it's obvious. You go for a little bit smaller size. You cut off the things that everyone knows what the mayo and everything has the fats in them. Make those good choices, and then when you can, go to that next level.
Yeah, I love that. And then also cut out the extras, like the French fries, the soda. You know what I mean? Yeah. So it's like if you're hungry, and we even talked about this, instead of having a number of snacks while you're driving in the car, if they're not raw, or single ingredient snacks and you need a meal, go for a simplified burger without the extras.
Boom. Hey, hopefully that's helpful. Let us know. We just thought it was really cool driving down the road. Thought, let's do a podcast on it. So we
And
did.
I need to give some, in full disclosure, we got a Wendy's burger because we wanted to try it.
Boom.
And it was good.
And,
Doug was like,
and the season starts today.
And season starts today. There we go.
Hey, as always, this is Miss Natural Olympia Hillary.
And this is Doug the Formulator.
See ya.
Let us know what burger you try.
Best.